This is Printed and Pressed. I'm Chris.
Will.
And I'm Andrew.
And today's book, it was a book chosen by myself, yours truly, the Chris of the CHRILLCAST of the Printed and Pressed group. And
in case you're wondering.
It's a book by a very unknown author, Robert Galbraith. I don't know who that is, but that's a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling. So the picture on the thumbnail should have given that away right away. And I picked this book because we really haven't done a mystery novel yet. I don't think in our entire series of stuff yet. And I thought it'd be fun to do.
We will soon do Dune, which is basically just a big, what the fuck is going on? Oh no, it's 46 seconds. I screwed up.
Well,
I said fluff.
There's no monetization on this channel anyways, Will.
Oh, we're good. Okay.
But long story short, I thought it'd be fun to do this, especially since there's a BBC or Showtime or somebody is producing a show based on these books. But before we get any further, I just want to make sure we're streaming everywhere real quick. We are streaming on YouTube. It does not look like we've started on Rumble yet. Oh, yep, we are streaming on Rumble. And hopefully we should have a stream on X, formerly known as Twitter. All right, let's see. Thanks, Elon, for that ridiculous change. Yep, we are streaming on all three. So follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. All right, going forward though, I'm gonna pull up the chat on my phone for Rumble. The other two, we'll get it if we get it. I don't know. But I enjoyed this book, and we're gonna give you a brief summary and try to limit the spoilers. But the book opens
brief summary. Someone died. How did it happen?
That's true. It does start with the death. I forgot that it starts with the death.
Right off the bat.
And then it rolls into a scene where there's the proposal with Robin and her fiance. And then Robin, the main female character of the book, shows up to her new temp job, which happens to be at Cormoran Strikes Detective Agency. And it's a very, very rushed and crazy, aggressive encounter.
It's Cormoran, right?
I thought it was Cormoran, too.
Cormoran.
It's kind of a weird name, but yeah, I think it's Cormoran.
He just goes by Strike, really.
Yeah, it usually goes by Strike. But long story short on that one is that as the brief encounter of an introduction, it goes, a woman runs out of the detective agency, and on her way in, the door smacks her in the body, the whole body, I guess, and he grabs her by the chest to hold her up without knocking her over. And so if that was my fiance and she came home with a bruised chest area, I'd be a little confused what's going on with this new job. But hey, you know, it is what it is.
And why she keeps going back for more.
Right?
She keeps getting beat up and she keeps going back. I don't understand.
Needed in her life a little bit of rough love.
She didn't come back with more bruises ever. So
no, she didn't. That was the only time.
Yeah.
But
she was more careful after that.
I was very concerned that after that brief encounter, this book was going to turn into like a romance mystery, and I was like, "Oh, great! This is not going to be my flavor of tea." But shortly after that, the tension, the sexual tension, drops down significantly after that scene.
Is that even sexual tension, Chris? He literally saves her freaking life, and he grabbed the only place he could reach.
Yeah.
Actually, they did that pretty well, and that was one of the first things. Like, oh, great, the show's going to be good because they actually followed that exact storyline to open up the show, and then it sank from there, and it wasn't very good after that. But anyways, so after that brief encounter, find out he's pretty much destitute, can't really pay for a temp agency, but he does anyways because she showed up and he can't just like not do the contract. And then work shows up at his door pretty much shortly after that. And it's the brother of one of his best friends growing up, Charlie, right?
Plot twist, Robin is the murderer, and that's how there's work now. She's solving the murder she committed.
Yes. Actually, that's pretty much the plot twist of the book. Thanks, Will.
It's not the plot twist of the book. I
said it's not Robin.
It's close.
Yeah.
But the brother of the deceased, who's an adopted child. There's 3 adopted children. They're brothers and sisters. One of them died young. The sister and the other brother are adults. The sister is a model and she's African American or African European, I guess. What would you call that?
They just call her black in the book.
Black. Okay, but so she's the model and she dies, and the brother John, the older brother John, ends up going to Cormoran Strike to get it investigated. And throughout the course of the book, you find out all kinds of details
everyone
about.
Thinks it's a suicide, Chris. Let's not jump.
Oh, right, because it opens up with them telling you it's a suicide. That's true.
Yeah.
And the only person who doesn't believe them, which makes sense when you read the book, is the brother John. And there's a whole lot of details that go through it. You kind of get a taste of the high life throughout the book, if you want to call it that.
And the fashion industry, which was terrible.
The terrible fashion industry. A little bit of the ghetto, too, with some of her friends.
But it's the British ghetto.
Yeah, the British ghetto, not the American ghetto. Yeah, I don't know what if there's a major difference.
They still have TNs and strumpets.
Still together there.
But long story short, he's interviewing all these people, and throughout the story, I honestly did you feel at any point you could guess who the true killer was? Because there was a couple points where I thought maybe it would be that guy, and then I was completely led astray.
Yeah, other than the feeling of so it's like what Dwight says. It's it's not who you most suspect or least suspect. It's who you most medium suspect, and that was who I most medium suspected. So there wasn't any direct clue leading up to that person.
Yeah,
but it because there was such a lack of clues, it made it almost kind of more obvious in a way. But I don't know. There wasn't a single moment where I was like, this is definitely the guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There was not much of a build up to him being the guilty party, I would say.
I did really like, though, how the mystery unraveled. As far as the mystery goes, once the pieces started to fall into place, it all made sense. It wasn't like you had this major wrap up and you're like, what? That was way out of left field. It wasn't like that. You know what I mean?
I would say the only clue that I really picked up on for who the final killer was his controlling nature of being involved.
Yeah, that's true. And not wanting him to go see the mom by himself. And
yeah.
And then there was a whole bunch of money. And then the only time I really was because they said all the money was being left to him, and I was like, that's a little sus.
Did you actually say who it is yet?
No,
I did not.
Okay.
Do we want to go there?
Yeah, I mean,
let's just say spoilers.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
If you don't want to know the end of the book, this is only the first book. It's not 7 book spoilers, just a 1 book spoiler. Mm-hmm. But the person who hires Cormoran Strike, winds up being the killer, and he thought that he could get away with it if he helped control the investigation and point to someone else.
Even though it's a closed case as a suicide,
it just shows how oddball nature this man is.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it was
maybe he wanted to be caught.
No, it's not very well communicated, but I think he's trying to frame the
other brother,
the half brother of his deceased adopted sister, because that's the only person who can challenge the
narrative.
Well, not just the narrative, but the inheritance.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. Because she did write that will that's out there at some point. That's part of the whole story plot, is discovering that she wrote a will to give her money to a different half sibling. So that right there, I think, is when you connect those dots. He's trying to frame that half brother so that he's blamed for the murder.
And there's really 2 or 3 investigations going on throughout this book. One was trying to find her family, because she was trying to find her family. Another investigation was into where he knew, it was very clear that he knew the story of what happened that day. There was so many things that were off. The fact that she says she could hear somebody through the closed window of the soundproof building. There was the whole mystery of how John Bristow and Tony Landry were somehow in the same building at the same time and didn't see each other at all or talk to each other at all. And then the mystery of her family. And then obviously the second murder, the murder of Rochelle.
Yeah. I mean, I personally really enjoyed the mystery around trying to determine what actually happened at the apartment.
Yeah.
Because that had the best ring around the rosy of trying to figure out the facts type of thing.
Because for a little while you were considering that the Bastigui, how you pronounce that name,
Italian.
There was a chance he might have been the killer for a little while, and
Yeah.
then slowly it kind of unravels that like no, it wasn't him. He's just kind of a raging psycho.
Well, because of the wife hearing the argument and everything, it makes you really wonder where that all was, right?
Right.
So it's like at one point I was wondering, were they did everything actually happen in the middle apartment or something? But
the one where DB Mac was supposed to be.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, you can't hear them. They did everything assuming it was higher up, from the third all the way down. So, one second.
I was gonna say, is that your dog or Will's dog? Because I don't have one.
Or do you, Chris?
Spirit dog, where are you?
I do think there's a ghost that works in my lab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He moves things.
Wait, he works in your lab?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain he works there.
The ghost of Isaac Newton. I wonder if this will fall.
His name is Joffrey. Thank you very much.
Baratheon? Like what?
I don't think it's Joffrey Baratheon. I never asked.
He's not a scientist. He did experiment with poison though and died.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's possible.
Cautionary tale.
All right.
Anyways, so yeah, the unraveling of the mystery was really like I thought overall, although the story at points felt like it was dragging, eventually led to something that was very exciting and interesting. And I'm glad she didn't write in the love story in this one because that would have kind of ruined it.
I mean, that would have been forced.
It would have had to.
I mean, the book we didn't say how many pages it is yet, but it's.
Well, my copy was like 400 some odd pages, like 450 or 449, somewhere in there. How many was it?
It didn't feel like that long.
No, it didn't. It was kind of like the Michael Crichton book where it was long, but it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Right.
I honestly like Rowling's writing, and I think she does a really good job with dialogue. Her dialogue flows so well. And I don't know, I think that is definitely her strong suit in writing books. So if you're looking for a book that has good character, like interaction, I don't think you can miss with her books.
Yeah. No, that's true. Especially when she finally develops the characters.
Yeah.
I would say that was the only slow part with this story, was her developing the main character. Because personal opinion, I know you kind of mentioned it too, Chris, that when I think it's because she's writing the woman Robin and Strike at the same time that the style of thought process is very blended between the two.
Yes, it
Strike
is.
comes off a little bit more woman-y than.
Well, according to her interview, she said that she channeled her inner bloke. And
yeah, I'm just saying early on when she's exploring both characters and the dialogue switches like paragraph to paragraph of like who's narrating.
I totally agree with you.
It felt obvious,
very, very much.
There's like, and this wasn't like her writing's good, but there's obvious cues when a woman writes a man or a man writes a woman that it's clearly the opposite writing the opposite.
What he focuses on is what you're saying,
right?
Yeah, when you have like POV and you actually have like a first person POV and you see hearing the thoughts, it can sometimes be hard to translate that. But I don't think there's always a telltale sign. I think some people can do it.
I'm saying that there are cues when you're writing that it's a man writing a woman or a woman writing a man. Well, and sometimes you find them and sometimes you don't. It's not all the time.
See, overall, it does not matter usually.
No, it doesn't.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it's not noticeable in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Except in this case, it is noticeable just because you have literally paragraph for Robin's POV followed immediately by like the exchange POV of Strike.
I did have a hard time with that where she would switch from one to the other mid-chapter.
Yeah, mid-chapter. So that was when she's developing the characters and you're noticing that she's kind of writing them a little bit too similar at times. I think that was the only I don't want to say complaint, but that was an initial
I felt like Strike's thought process was believable though. Like I never felt like it was, hey, this is a woman. He was a little overly in tune with Robin's emotions for supposedly not giving a shit that he has a temp. I'm just
for not knowing who she is and
not caring that she works for him, not even wanting her to work for him. He was oddly.
He was acting like an empath, and that's a little
Yeah.
it was strange. Yeah.
Yes, and that's the part where
It would make sense if they are married and like have been together for a while, because he would just know her
like a long-term secretary.
Yes.
Yeah, but given the story narrative that she chose, that's the only part where it's like, okay, feels like you can tell it's written by a woman in that regard.
I did like, though, that she was more realistic with Cormoran not asking Robin to go to the scene of the crimes, investigate with him. She was to do the temp job that she was hired to do, which was be in the office, answer the phones, dig into things. And then towards the end, once he felt he could trust her, then he allowed her to kind of go out and do some investigation on her own. I thought that was more of a natural progression into her actually helping, as opposed to, hey, I just showed up today, let's go on an investigation together. Woo!
I mean, frankly, him even bringing her at all in the first story seems a little odd.
Well, I mean, by the time that once she saw him, slobber drunk at the bar, I think that
after that
was gone.
After that point, but prior to, he still took her places. I guess one of them was he was using her as a cover, but
which he's kind of a desperate private detective. He needs the help, but he needs it. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a couple times where I never felt like the story was so unrealistic that I was like, okay, this is outside of reality, this isn't going to happen. I mean, there were points where it was unrealistic, but like for a book, I was like, this is believable. I can say I believe and keep going. I never felt like there was any point where I was like, uncanny valley, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, agreed.
No, it was very based in real world.
So who is your favorite of the two characters, Robin or Cormoran?
Strike.
Yeah, Strike. Okay.
I like them both really because they're like the same character,
Yeah, at the beginning they are the same character. That's the problem.
I don't know. I like the dynamic between the two. I don't think either one would have worked super well by themselves.
I thought Cormoran was really cool because, or the writing of Cormoran was cool because for once we don't have the two people in the office falling for each other in an intro story and breaking up a long-standing relationship. I can see that eventually, like the fiance thing folding at some point because she's just too interested in the detective agency and Cormoran and all that.
Yeah,
the false leg.
Hey, that gets massaged.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Stubby. Yeah.
But I liked it was nice and refreshing to not have a love story.
It really was. Now you say that, it is like it's so rare nowadays to find a book that they're not like head over heels, friends to lovers or enemies to lovers. It's annoying.
So I did appreciate it.
Are there though, you guys? It's still put in there tension wise.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad as it could have been if they would have had them.
Yeah, well, it's like a tension of like he's essentially single, and I really feel like it's more from his perspective where he's like, that dress looked awfully nice on her.
Yeah, and he's also trying not to.
He's trying not to do that.
That's true.
So the like, have you ever seen the show Bones?
No.
Yes.
I felt like that, like it'd be like that, like a very long, drawn out, eventual relationship possible.
Yeah, because they have a good dynamic.
Right, like the head detective, whatever his name is, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. In Bones, like it took like what 7 seasons for them to get together finally. Mm-hmm. That was fine. I was fine with that. It wasn't like it was in your face the whole time in the show, and that's how the book. Like I didn't feel like the book was like they're gonna get together. It's gonna happen. Romance time. You're like, okay, nope, none of that.
I have to say though that once she finally developed Strike as a character, like fully developed him. Mm-hmm. That's when the story started to really get kicking. And
was that at the bar scene? You felt like, where was that for you?
Where was that for me? That's a great question. I would say it was probably when they actually went to the apartments. Was when he was fully, or actually no, the shopping scene. Where she was trying on the clothes. So Robin was fully developed at that point too.
Yeah.
That's the first time that I think that was a diverging character thing because you actually had both of them with their thought processes were going in opposite directions.
clearly at that point, Cormoran had taken on more of a male persona by that point, and Robin definitely diverged more into a female perspective at that point. Whereas before that, it was harder to distinguish. I would agree with that. Now, who out of the side characters?
The book that is, I really can't. But
it's at least halfway, I think. But
was that
out of this, somewhere in there,
third in? It's at least a third.
Who was your favorite side character? Most interesting out of the bunch?
Ooh. You go first, Will. I'm trying.
Oh, geez, yeah. I know I was crapping on the fashion stuff, but I think maybe that dude was.
He was interesting.
Yeah, I liked how she wrote his mannerisms most.
The French.
The French.
Pretty good.
I liked Tony Landry, actually. Like, once you find out the secret he was kind of holding on to and holding over John Bristow, like, he's kind of an interesting character. So at first, I thought he was the murderer.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I thought he was. But he just knew more than he was letting on. Mm-hmm. And was trying to shut down the investigation to get, because he knew that if John went down, he was going down with him. And there was that whole, like, he was sleeping with the boss's wife thing going on, too.
Oh, yeah, that was
and that was the only reason he was covering for John in the first place.
Yeah.
He was just all kinds of screwed up. But he was, like, once you look at the whole picture of what was going on with Tony Landry, that murder was the least of his concern.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. It's like, I feel like Guy is the only one that actually has a bigger role outside of a lot of them, though, that you get to see more of his personality.
I mean, there was the down and out mom. You kind of, she kind of sucked.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't believe she didn't leave me any money.
Yeah.
To take care of these kids. Like, he's like, what kids, woman? Where are they? There's none here. Well, she was gonna take it to court. That's right. She wanted money to go to court to get her kids back.
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly, and who knows? And maybe if J.K. Rowling had more time to write that out, maybe it would have been a legit storyline. But that would have been a totally different theme to the
book, and it's the one with the least amount of pages. So
yeah,
just wait until.
Well, all of her books post this one are like 500 to 700.
Ramping, just like the Harry Potter book.
Yeah. It's like the more developed her world gets, the more pages she needs to write it.
She just started with book 4 this time. Size.
Yeah.
The model was pretty interesting too, though.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of learn which model, the one that he slept with, or the other one.
Yes. I was not going to spoil the.
The one that pretty much solidified him and Robin not getting together in this book.
Probably, yeah.
And there was the Brioni.
The one who massaged his legs.
The one that was so pretty it made it hard to listen to. That I don't remember.
Well, she was like, I felt like she was on something the whole time he was talking to her, the way she talked, but it's probably just a Gen Z speak kind of a thing.
She wasn't on shit, bro.
Well, she was drunk at some point.
His mind was just reeling from the beauties. They couldn't actually, like, his
internal
monologue.
Did you feel like the gloves winding up at the ex-boyfriend, the not widow, but the boyfriend of the dead model's apartment had anything to do with John dropping the gloves off? Because he wore them.
Probably.
That was the one thing I felt was never resolved. How did the gloves get to his apartment?
Owl.
An owl. Hi, wig.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was gone often, though, Chris. You gotta realize that.
I understand that, but how did the gloves get to his apartment?
Oh, that cop was an interesting character, too.
Wardle,
yeah.
And the other cop that literally just wanted to shut down the Hulk because he didn't want to deal with the backlash from finding out it wasn't a suicide. Oh, man.
But, I mean, I feel like Wardle is actually going to be a recurring character again. So
he might be.
I would have to rate him as probably the next most interesting character.
The doorman. He was cool. I liked him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Brief, though. He was
brief, but I liked like the little bit of development with him was cool. I mean, he won't be in any other books, most likely, unless he's a murder victim, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Or I guess a murderer, but I can't imagine that J.K. Rowling would write him as a murderer in a future book.
She might.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe he would be framed for one.
Everyone is a suspect.
And Cormoran would have to prove his innocence. Anyways, I guess we can move on to like, what are your takeaways from the book?
I mean, I don't really have any grand takeaways from this. It's more so just a viewpoint that I thought that it was a nice change of pace for what we read. I appreciate that J.K. Rowling actually decided to go this route with what her next series was.
Mhm.
I mean, to the point that I'm willing to read the other books. I think that it's a well written, nicely paced, especially once she developed the main characters. So I feel like book 2 would be a fairly easy read to get into again. So
I'm open to the idea too. Maybe we'll add them in. But I thought a really interesting theme though was the theme of the mother who didn't love her son. You know, John was the unloved. There was pictures of his 2 siblings. They're all adopted. And the mother had no picture of him on her bedside when she's dying. Like, can you imagine?
That it's a Cain and Abel story.
It is,
Chris. Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting when you realize like Cormoran put it together. His brother acted like intentionally or unintentionally. I couldn't really tell which way it went. Killed his brother by daring him to jump into the quarry essentially with his bike or whatever.
Well, however that went, yeah. Might have just pushed him.
and Tony knew about it. So Tony knew about that, and then he knew something was up with him when they both claimed to be at the same house at the same time.
We forgot that he was embezzling the entire time.
Oh yeah, that's why he wanted the money.
Which is why he needed the money. And that's one of the other clues, I guess. So,
but we didn't know that until towards the end.
It was a lot less obvious.
Yeah, it wasn't as obvious.
Yeah.
As far as like detective stories, I like ones more like this. It's got like a nice pacing to it. It's not super long. At least it didn't feel super long.
Yeah.
And I never felt like I knew all of the details until it finally unfolded at the end.
Well, a part of me feels like it was a little out of left field slightly, the way it all came together at the end, but
it made sense once you.
It makes sense the way she laid it out.
She definitely didn't lay it out for you though.
But the hints were definitely kept secret, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, like if you look back,
the clues were not communicated as clues.
Fair, yeah. Yeah, like the details were there, but they weren't presented as clues.
The details were kept very vague.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you sat there and analyzed all of what you were reading, you could probably figure it out. But if you're just reading it leisurely,
I feel like the editor, like the first notes were, this is way too obvious. So Rowling's solution to that was, okay, I'll just delete everything that allows you to know who it is.
Yeah, no, that's the way I kind of felt with it. So I'm curious actually to potentially read the second book to see how she lays out the clues in that one.
Mm-hmm. I haven't read many mystery books, but as far as like where I would rank this, have you ever read The Lincoln Lawyer?
I have not.
I don't know what that even is.
Okay, so I forget who wrote the book, but it's like a contemporary mystery story. It's about a lawyer who's actually unraveling this crime that he put his own client away to begin with, and now he's trying to backtrack to figure out who actually did this crime. And I like that one better because it does set up who it is throughout, and it's like a breadcrumb trail. So at the very end, the reveal is like, oh my gosh, that's who it is, not like, oh, okay, which is kind of how I felt this time.
I felt like there wasn't a good breadcrumb trail if you're picking up on those hints.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree that the clues, albeit they were there, they were not obvious at all. What was that, Will?
That's my dog.
It sounded like something broke.
Yeah, he keeps going in and out, and then he just dropped his bone on the wood floor. So
no worries. I guess how would you? Okay, so there's an obvious thing we can talk about right here. If you were to have a choice to pick up Harry Potter or this book series today, which one would you say, hey, do this one before that one?
I mean, for me, I would say Harry Potter all day long, but I like
that's a bit
fantasy. So
yeah, that's a bit difficult, man. I've read the Harry Potter books too many freaking times. So
Okay, let me put it this way. Somebody between the ages of, I don't know, 10 and 15. Which one are you giving them?
no, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
I'd give them this one. But how about 15 and up?
They should have already read Harry Potter. So this one.
So this one, yeah.
I don't know what you're looking for here, Chris.
All right, I'm picking the detective series over Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was into these kind of books when I was 15, so I would recommend this one. For 15.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think there's an age cutoff where you'd recommend this series? Like, what age would you say you would recommend this at?
I think this is young adult to adult.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Pretty tame so far. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, there's nothing really. I mean, other than the fact that there's a murder in the book, which obviously detective mystery,
and the characters are adults.
Yeah. Have you read The Outsider by Stephen King yet?
I have not.
No.
Okay, so
I don't think I've read any Stephen King yet.
I recommend The Outsider then because it's not as Stephen King-y as the rest of them. It's written more like a what's like the Crown Junkie?
Did he write Super 8? Is that his?
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind.
Anyway, you see the murder in the beginning and it's awful. Mm-hmm. It's super graphic.
I think this book, though, what J.K. Rowling is trying to do with the series is a nice modern Sherlock Holmes type of thing.
Minus all the drugs.
Yeah.
And super intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A more realistic Sherlock Holmes that people can relate to. But it's
in that case, it's more like trying to do the Agatha Christie thing.
I can't really.
He's pretty smart though. He can figure that out.
What's another detective story series?
Nancy Drew. No,
besides Nancy Drew, that's literally the only other one.
Sort of like CSI or something, where that's how I felt. Like as far as the depth of the problem and the story, the overall story, it felt like kind of like a CSI episode.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of taking that whole murder mystery thing to teenagers.
Which author wrote Shetland, the series that Shetland's based on?
Ooh, no,
I really like Shetland a lot. You should watch. If you like detective mystery shows, that's a great one.
Oh, here, Chris might know this one. Father Brown. That's what this is like.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
Just kidding. Father Brown's great. Though.
Father Brown's G.K. Chesterton. That's old.
Yeah.
That's like 100 years ago. But I am willing to read some G.K. Chesterton here soon.
So here's a question though. Do you think that this book series is probably more favored by boys or girls? Or do you think it's even?
I think this one probably hits a sweet spot.
I think it hits a sweet spot because of the way she writes Cormoran, that's relatable. But I think that just the murder mystery genre is a little bit more girl heavy.
Yeah, I mean, but you're gonna drop out a lot because there's no love interest. So,
well,
there's the hint of one.
Yeah, but they're really heavy-handed nowadays.
I think if somebody's looking,
which is the only reason why
somebody's looking for a good balance of a female-male detective pair, that's not the tension of the romance, and at least not in the beginning. I think this would be a good series for anybody.
Also, let's be fair. People are reading this because it's J.K. Rowling. That's the only reason. There's nothing unique about this book that you couldn't find. Someone else, some other author does a better job of writing mystery. You're reading this because it's J.K. Rowling.
Maybe. Yeah. No, I mean that's a valid statement. I think though that her writing style is a sweet spot for a certain age bracket.
I think you're correct. And like I said before, she does a very good job with dialogue.
So
yes, she does.
It's very approachable, and I'm curious how the rest of her series goes because it's on what book 7 now, which means it's clearly doing well. And
if you look at her stuff, they all say like #1 mystery thriller seller for blah blah blah.
Yeah, but it's still J.K. Rowling. I know she put it under another name.
Well, she did that on purpose.
The inside cover says it's J.K. Rowling.
Exactly.
The newer releases say that.
The second edition, Chris. So they immediately did it.
Who knows? Whatever.
I looked it up because I was shocked to find out one, it was as old as it was because I had no idea what it was. Mm-hmm. And then
in fairness, though, we haven't heard about this worth crap. Mm-hmm. And we were Harry Potter fans in some capacity. So my comment is that it clearly has not been as impactful.
Well, it did get a full blown TV show, so it's doing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is, okay, the TV show was probably assisted by her being J.K. Rowling. Let's be honest. The popularity of said book, though, the fact that I never heard about it until you picked it for this podcast, is evidence enough that her name brand recognition wasn't really carrying this as much as it's helped. Clearly, with like probably marketing, it like getting a push behind it from legit marketers, but I didn't realize she wrote other books besides Harry Potter at this point in time. Okay.
To be fair, did she need to?
No, she didn't. That's why I was like, I would have retired and gone on into the sunset.
I believe she's the first billionaire author.
Is that true?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wait, no, because Warren Buffett has had books.
Okay,
but she's
author
a billionaire because of her authorship.
Oh, yeah.
Warren Buffett was a billionaire and then wrote books.
You're saying she earned her money? Well,
yeah.
I'm sure Elon Musk has written books too. You don't hear anybody bragging about him being a billionaire author.
I was just jokingly saying that he's not the first billionaire who's an author.
And besides that, Buffett's dead now, so he doesn't count. I'm just kidding.
He's not dead. He's alive.
Isn't he? I thought
he's alive.
Yeah,
the dude's drinking so much Coca-Cola products. He's a
All right, hold on. We're looking this up because I'm pretty sure he just died.
No, he's alive. He's still playing
I thought
his train set called the U.S. Trains. All right, so
I'm looking it up. We'll find out.
No, he's just out there buying train stocks. Okay, that's all he does. Then he goes and gets pipelines.
Isn't he the one that did Margaritaville, or am I thinking of somebody else?
What?
What? Oh, I'm thinking of somebody.
Warren Buffett's a big time investor.
Who did Margaritaville?
Not Warren Buffett.
It was oh geez.
Just you guys got Google. Why are we listening?
It's in my head. I don't want you to say it out loud. Continue on.
It's Jimmy something, isn't it?
Jimmy Buffett. That's what it is.
That's why I'm confused. Okay, never mind. All right.
Yeah. Very
on
different.
That note,
very different. Chris.
How do you guys want to rank? Like, okay, let's put it this way. Where do you rank this book out of 5, and then why?
I can go first. So I think approachability is a 5. It's really easy to read this book, get into this book. You don't have to have a high level of reading competency, and also it's not boring if you do read a lot of high fiction. I like the dialogue, like I said. I think she has a great ear for hearing conversations in pubs and stuff, and actually being able to translate to the written word. It's very hard to do that. She does a great job. So I would say a 5 for that. As far as the mystery aspect, it's has there been a unique mystery in the last 100 years, really? So that's like a 3, I guess. And then as far as the breadcrumb, that really frustrated me. So as far as I like being kind of led by the nose through a mystery. So like something like I can actually conceivably figure out. So like reading Sherlock Holmes, like I love the fact of being able to figure it out by the end. You feel really good. Or the same thing with Agatha Christie novels. You want to be able to figure it out. This one really, I don't know if you really could, or at least confidently figure it out. Like you might just guess it, but I don't know if you could confidently figure it out. So overall, I don't know. I'd give it 3.5. I still enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading the other ones. It just wasn't my favorite, but also I'm not a huge mystery fan in general. So that might be coloring my perspective.
I guess I'll go next. I basically agree with everything Will said. I'm not a go-to mystery person, really, myself either. But I can forgive the fact that it's a generic mystery novel where the killer was the guy who hired the investigator, thinking he was too smart for his own good type of deal. It's very basic. Comfort food mystery novel, I guess, which is what a lot of people are probably looking for as the intro to a new mystery novel series, which it goes back to she writes very approachably, right? I definitely am bothered a little bit, though, by the lack of the breadcrumbs to solve it yourself as you're going through it, because the three hints, and I'm being very generous when I say that there's three hints that it was the brother who did the murder, they're very difficult to actually pick out of that crowd of clues. But also the fact that I don't get the impression that even Strike is treating him like a suspect until very late in the game. And that might be the weird thing. I would give it a 4, though.
What did you give it, Will? A 5?
3.5.
Give it a 3.5.
3.5. Okay, I'm
I,
sorry.
I,
5 is
I
for
would give it a
approachability.
4. Yeah, I would give it a 4 just because of the breadcrumb thing. But I'm not going to dock any points for it being just a simple comfort food version of mystery novel.
I will say I felt like it was less of a generic detective story once you realize how generically it is translated to TV. Like a lot of the good aspects in the book, when they were translated to a TV script, were removed. Like when Bristow shows up in the TV show, he shows up without the girlfriend. So right there, you're missing like a whole bunch of backstory to John and the girlfriend who's been spying on him for Tony Landry. And then midway through it, well, not to mention, I didn't need the mental image of Cormoran pissing in a in a cup, putting it on his windowsill, and her the next day, Robin walking in and saying, "You want me to take care of that?" And he goes, "No, don't touch that." And then he dumps it outside and hits some random walker by. Oh my god. I did not need that in the story. It added nothing. So let me put it this way. I think the writing is better than generic detective story, only because when you see it translated to TV, it gets extremely generic.
I'll say this, in fairness, she has created a very fairly different character with Strike. Him being a veteran who's been injured and
doesn't resent his military service.
That, but also is literally missing. He's actually a cripple. So,
and he talks about the challenges of that because he's got like if he forgets to take it off that one night, and has like the crippling rash on his leg,
but also his family backstory is interesting too.
It is very interesting,
yeah.
Because he has the son of a groupie.
He's the son of a groupie with a very famous musician, so
who just left him no money.
Yeah,
which is not surprising because he's got
the loan that he harassed.
Well, yeah, the loan.
Mm-hmm. I like that initial conversation where he's like, basically, F off.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it is slightly better than generic, but the overall story of who the murderer is, though, is typical.
You're saying that the side details make it more charming than, say, a generic detective story, but that the actual detective story going on in the book is
the mystery itself is fairly generic. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have the
It's a classic. It's a classic.
We don't have the Scranton Strangler that you never find out who it is in the office.
It's clearly Toby. Have you seen the Office YouTube channel? They framed Toby for this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that.
It's like the official stance of
wasn't it actually Creed?
No, it's no one in the show, but it's
they
do definitely now piece it together that it's Toby, and it's pretty convincing.
Oh, okay. Well, that was probably the most interesting detective story on TV, but all right. So let's just put it this way: if she wrote 7 novels in this series.
You haven't rated it yet, Chris.
Oh yeah, you're right. I think I'd go 4.5 because the TV show really made me open my eyes to how good this is compared to the bad TV scripting they came up with. So I'll give it a 4.5, and then we'll average out to a 4.
That's what Aragon did. The movie Aragon.
That was terrible.
So bad. It made me appreciate the book.
Okay, what is the worst adaptation of a book you've ever seen?
Literally that. Actually, or Prince Caspian. I'm still
Rings of Power.
Yeah, well, is that even a book? Did they even use the source material?
They had it. They had the characters, man. I'm counting it.
Hey, he did release a new book though, so there's.
Oh yeah, I bought it.
I bought it too. I haven't read it yet.
Did Inkheart ever make it to the screen?
Yes.
Yeah,
but that wasn't the worst. That wasn't the worst.
Yeah, it was only okay. It has Brendan
it's
Fraser in it.
okay because it's
Honestly, if you reread Inkheart as an adult, it is very slow. I'm actually kind of
It's
surprised.
still a very good book, though.
Yeah.
The first one's slow. The later ones are really good, though.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll keep reading the series then.
Oh,
Did you not read the other books?
No, it came like I don't know what other books were competing with at the time, but like I just missed that window. So
well, I have to say that the story is the later books are just the sequels are far better in general.
okay.
Because it's already established everything. So
Yeah, there's a new one coming out. I told you that, right?
yes, yeah.
Is it out already?
I don't think so.
I think it might be out in Europe, but for whatever reason, it was staggered. If I remember reading the blog post correctly.
Huh. Interesting.
Because she's German, I think, the author.
Oh, so it would have to be translated.
Yeah.
I think the worst adaptation for me was probably one of the Narnia books because it was Prince Caspian. No, it was Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
No, Prince Caspian's worse.
Prince Caspian had one scene that was slightly redeeming.
I will say I finished Prince Caspian. I did not finish Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Voyage of the Dawn Treader isn't even following the book.
I basically got to where I saw the mouse, and that was it. That's as far as I got.
With the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, like that weird mist thing that follows them throughout the whole movie is not even in the book.
Oh yeah, I haven't even watched that movie, so I can't.
Voyage that is so at least in Narnia that is the worst.
Well, I have to say that Prince Caspian was enough to make me hate the movies going forward. So, all right,
I see what they were trying to do.
That's not what this episode's about, though, Chris.
But so you take this relatively good detective story and you translate it to the big screen, and it got generic and kind of what's the right word? Gross. Like they made Cormoran gross and kind of.
He is gross though.
Yeah, but not in the way.
He's very furry.
He's a gross guy. He's a gross guy.
They made him
gross guy in the book, even.
Okay, let me put it this way: if a woman was reading this book and she was romanticizing about this dude, she
would
not find him attractive at all on the show.
No, but they wouldn't find him attractive in the book either if you read it.
Plus, they don't actually make the nice peg leg noises of him walking like they do on Pirates of the Caribbean.
I'm just saying that he's a gross guy.
He's fair enough.
He's a gross guy, even in the. I'm just saying.
Chris wanted to be infatuated, and he wasn't.
No, I think the actor they picked was fine. I just think that they made him even grosser than in the books.
I don't know how that's possible.
Well, you don't see him pissing in a random cup in his office and then putting it on the windowsill in the book.
Yeah, he does.
Does he? I don't remember that.
He totally pees into a cup or bottle or whatever. And
okay, well, I didn't need to see that on TV. That's for sure.
See, Chris doesn't read people. He's just over there with the audio book, letting it go at like.
No, I read this one. I read this one.
Joking.
You know what? I think you're right now. That gosh darn it! But it doesn't happen at the very beginning of the.
Yes, it does. It's in the very freaking beginning.
It's when he doesn't feel like going to the bathroom and just.
It's like the first time he sleeps in the office.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. I don't remember that part. I certainly didn't need to see it on TV.
Yeah, Chris read the abridged version.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that, but I probably should have. All right. On that note, is there anything else we need to say about the book?
I mean, I recommend it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part? Oh,
geez.
I cracked up way too much when the model was all about him because
that was a funny part.
It was just funny. It was he needed a W at that point. He just needed one. He got it. Just the line where it's like, "Oh, that's not my leg."
You're rubbing wood or pressing?
No. That was you didn't read it properly, Chris.
Oh, no. I do. No, I know what you're talking about now.
He's like, I only have one leg. I lost the other one in the war. And just go let me rub it for. He's like, that's not my leg. It's like, okay. Okay, Rowling, let's go.
Yeah. Perks of the job, you know.
Perks,
oh my goodness.
Perks of being the model's type.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and Guy even kind of like warned him ahead of time that might happen.
But
he was a bro.
He had a hilarious response too for a different one of the girls there too.
Yeah.
That was just terrible. I'm not gonna say it on YouTube. he like goes. He talks to one of his assistants about what she was fantasizing
Oh,
about.
that's right. Yes.
As he's just on the other side of the door and he hears all of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then you got I would have to say my favorite part is when he's like rolling into Bastighi's office and he's like, listen, dude,
Oh yeah, it was good.
if you don't tell the truth, this is all coming out, whether you want it to or not. And he just he opened a new one for him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
That was phenomenal the way he just like dismantled his entire persona in like 5 minutes. And then he's like, you're not gonna want those security guards to drag me out, man, or everything's coming out. I'm gonna make sure your wife talks because it does not matter for this divorce she's going through. And she wants to talk anyways, so you're screwed. He got him good. And that guy was kind of a lousy person anyways. So
he wasn't that bad.
He was kind of lousy.
He's lousy, but it's not like he was like
he wasn't the worst
Harvey
person.
Weinstein. Like,
no, he wasn't that.
Yeah,
but he did want every woman that he worked with, so there was that. But he didn't do underhanded things.
Hey man,
them, I suppose.
Did you see what he was probably working with? Let's be honest here. Yeah. He's a movie producer. He's working with models and actresses all the time. I mean, come on.
I mean, he wasn't set up like the guy in Disclosure by Michael Crichton. He wasn't that innocent.
No, not innocent, not at all.
But it sounds like his wife was kind of painful, and she did complain a lot. That didn't help things, that's for sure. But he was going to leave her out on the balcony. Oh my gosh, in the freezing cold.
See, well, he wasn't abusive. He was an abusive guy. That's pretty much.
That's the only reason you find out about the argument between the model who died. And
yeah, he you know what? He solved the murder by.
Yeah, we owe the.
Everyone owes him for solving this murder. If it wasn't for his ways,
it wasn't for the way he treats his women,
never would have been solved.
Isn't that sad? Like when you think about it that way, the mystery is solved because this guy was such a terrible husband, and he didn't even commit the murder. It wasn't him, but whatever.
He's not even the villain of villains. He's
just kind of a minor villain.
A minor villain that accidentally
that nobody likes. The security guard didn't like him either because he was such a jackass. They don't even talk to me. Oh my gosh. And then as he's like retelling the story, he's like, Cormoran's like, okay. And then at this point, he's upstairs and you said you heard him running downstairs. Wait a second. That doesn't make any sense. Like that was when he first started to put the pieces together. But anyways, I'm not going to keep giving away the mystery.
Yeah.
I like the book. Right. But getting there still takes some effort.
Yeah. You get to enjoy this story still.
As you can tell, we all enjoyed it. Although there's no time traveling dude who steals his own dog in this one.
You can't have it all, man.
Yeah.
If you go on Goodreads, you'll laugh. I did anyways. And you go through the reviews. There's multiple people that said, "Where's the magic?" And I'm like, bro, this ain't Harry Potter, okay? on Goodreads, yeah. Bunch of jerks that just don't like, detective stories and wanted J.K. Rowling to keep writing Harry Potter.
That's funny.
But on that note, we've talked about this far longer than I thought we would, but we did make it to 9:30 for Will. So,
I appreciate it.
What's the next book, Andrew?
It would be Paralandra.
Paralandra, and I'm looking forward to Andrew's perspective on that one.
It's already starting off a significantly better book than Out of the Silent Planet.
Yes.
Good.
It is a better book.
I don't hate it.
And that book should be on the 27th, provided we don't have any conflicting events. But if not, we will update you guys later on what day that will be.
Yeah.
In the meantime, sometime between today and our next podcast, there will be a CHRILLCAST where we rank all of our favorite entertainment for the year and all of the worst. And I just recently found a song that I hate.
New Vegas will be low now because I'm stuck.
So look forward to that. We're going to be ranking entertainment and talking about C.S. Lewis again.
The hardest thing to have to do.
As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Andrew.
And we'll see you on the next Printed and Pressed.
Bye, guys.